This right here will explain how Barcelona can get to the final of the Champions League up against that very organised, very defensively solid Inter Milan 5-3-2 system. Barcelona will face their biggest challenge so far this season. And with their system, when they play that back three of Koundé, Kubasi, Inigo Martinez in possession, hopefully Balde's back from injury, Balde will push up, Rafinha will play inside. And it's really important that Rafinha plays in between Pavard and Darmian. Lewandowski's injured, so Ferran Torres has to do a job centrally up against Acerbi. Olmo is very important. He has to start because his ability to take the ball in these little tight spaces on the half turn in those pockets will give Barcelona a lot of joy. So he has to start. And then Yamal high and wide up against DeMarco. So it's really important that Barcelona commit those 5 players to pin Inter Milan's back 5. Frankie de Jong and Pedri will have to dominate this area here. And because Barcelona have a 3v2, as they transfer the ball out here, often you'll see with Inter Milan, their centre midfielders press this area. And that's the bit where Olmo can flourish in. That's the space. So because of this 3v2 here, one of Inter Milan's midfielders have to jump, leaving a 2v2 here. Barella, Çalhanoğlu up against Frankie and Pedri. But this is where Frankie de Jong's ability for those little third man combinations can allow Olmo to receive the ball in these pockets on the half turn. So Barcelona, knowing that, should be able to build out and utilise this wide area right here. If they want to transfer the ball out to Inigo Martinez, with Thuram here, Lautaro here, Barella will press this area, and that's the space that Pedri can utilise. But that's when it can go into Pedri. Yes, Pedri has pressure from Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan here, but then a third man combination out to Rafinha. Will Pavard really step here? If he does, there's more space. Maybe Ferran can make a run, and then Olmo receives the ball in these tight spaces. And then Yamal's making these types of runs. So that's where Barcelona can get their joy. And also isolating Lamine Yamal in a 1v1 with DeMarco, Balde up against Darmian. Those wide areas can also give Barcelona so much success. Because let's say the ball goes out to Yamal, Mkhitaryan somewhere around here, Çalhanoğlu, Barella would have shuffled across, Lautaro usually sometimes drops in here. Now we're looking at Olmo to make an underlap. Even we've seen Koundé make those overlaps. So a very adventurous right hand side, and then on Barcelona's left hand side, because it's Inigo Martinez and he likes to stay behind the ball, we're looking at Rafinha, Balde, Pedri to have this sort of triangle here and dictate play with the aim of finding Olmo in the pockets, Ferran making these types of runs. So Yamal could go 1v1 with DeMarco with Koundé overlapping here, creating a 2v1. Maybe he cuts inside, then Bastoni might get drawn to the ball, and these are the spaces that they can exploit. And Olmo is very good at running in behind as well. When the game is settled, he has the game intelligence to say, you know what, I'm just going to make a run in behind. And this is where he could receive the ball. Then it could be a shot, a cutback, a cross. Then Barcelona can really make things count in that final third. And also with Inter Milan, they are very brave. When the ball goes out to Koundé, for example, and Mkhitaryan's stepping, and Olmo wants to receive the ball here, Bastoni will actually follow. So they have that back four suddenly. But this is where, if Koundé can open out and play Yamal, and then Olmo can make a run there, dragging Bastoni, that's when Ferran Torres can receive the ball. Or that's when Rafinha can drift inside. We've seen Rafinha be very adventurous, starting as a left winger, but then ending up here. So it's really important that, yes, Inter Milan are very aggressive and they are brave to step. So sometimes that pocket may not be open up for Olmo. But this is where we're looking at those selfless runs to open up more space centrally. Or giving the ball to Olmo under pressure. Why not? He's able to turn away from that pressure, whether that's this way or this way, out to Frankie de Jong to circulate to Pedri here to drive with the ball, right? And then you have a little combination play with Rafinha. So there is a way to break Inter Milan down, and that is exploiting these wide areas here, dragging players out of position to open up the pocket, get Lamine Yamal 1v1s with Koundé overlapping, underlapping, get Balde high and wide. So when Pedri gets the ball from these deep areas, that's when Balde's making that run. Pedri with his ability can find Balde here, then a cross or a cutback as well. So that's where I think Barcelona will have their success. It may not be vertically, it may not be centrally. I think it's going to be out wide, because that's where you have those players that can make things happen. Up against Inter Milan's 5-3-2, obviously they're leaving the spaces out wide. And now, when Inter Milan have the ball, that's where I think Barcelona can struggle, because they have not faced a team like this so far this season. Barcelona's aggressive and high press has worked like magic in almost every single game this season. That's where they've been so successful, winning the ball in high areas, high turnovers in the opposition's third, and then just scoring from there, being ruthless, being clinical. But with Inter Milan, their system is very interesting to watch. With rotational centre-backs, Bastoni, Acerbi and Pavard willing to end up in these spaces here, with the midfield three willing to drop back to defence. So Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan willingly receiving the ball here with Bastoni high, Acerbi high, DiMarco high and Darmian. And that rotation could create problems because when you have midfielders in build-up, their fluidity on the ball, their technical ability will allow Inter Milan to really keep the ball, especially against Barcelona's high press, along with Sommer's ball-playing ability as well. So from goal kicks, Inter Milan will set up with Sommer, Acerbi, Bastoni, Pavard, with the midfield three, and in the front four of DiMarco, Darmian, high and wide, with Lautaro and Thuram. And then Barcelona's very aggressive pressure means Ferran Torres will be here. Yamal will be very close to Bastoni. Rafinha will be very close to Pavard. Olmo, Frankie, Pedri will lock on in the middle man for man, and then leaving a 4v4 at the back. But what would happen is, with Sommer's ball playing ability, let's say Sommer receives the ball, Ferran Torres should press in this way. Now, with Inter Milan's rotations, I've seen Lautaro end up here to receive the ball. I've seen this happen, right? Just moving around to open up space, and then when Barella receives the ball here, the back three get very compact, but then, this is where it gets interesting. Barella could play a pass out to Pavard, yes he has pressure, and then he will just end up somewhere here. He'll receive the ball again, play Çalhanoğlu, and then Pavard will make a run forward into this space. Darmian will drop off. So now we're looking at forward runners and who's going to track them. Is Rafinha going to go all the way here, or will Barcelona pass players on? That's a very interesting scenario. If Çalhanoğlu plays backwards here, Acerbi will go up, Çalhanoğlu will drop in. Let's say Bastoni can't get the ball straight away. Bastoni will make this forward run and end up in here with Mkhitaryan dropping in. So now they have their midfield three at the back dictating, and then they have Acerbi who can win the ball in the air, along with Lautaro, along with Thuram, by the way. Long kicks, you have the ability in the middle to win it from Inter Milan's perspective. You have Bastoni being that forward runner from left centre-back, or Bastoni will end up here, high and wide, with DiMarco drifting inside. So now we're looking at 2v1s on Koundé. How are Barcelona going to deal with that? So these are the questions that Hansi Flick really has to consider. And I personally think going man for man could create problems for Barcelona, especially with their high line. I would say man for man from goal kicks, but as soon as they start rotating, retreat and then have triggers to press. So we don't have a problem, for example, if I'm Barcelona's perspective, we do not have a problem with Inter Milan rotating, but then as the pass goes wide, can we force them back and then push up a couple lines? So pressing a little bit higher if they pass backwards. Can we win the ball here and then score? But with Inter Milan's, as I said, with Inter Milan's ball playing ability, with those centre midfielders dropping into defence to dictate play, that will become incredibly difficult for Barcelona. As well as the midfielders' ability to play these long balls in behind to Lautaro, to Thuram, to Bastoni, to DiMarco even. So Barcelona really have to get that defensive structure right, and then on the ball, I think they can break them down in the way that I've just shown earlier on in the video. And this game will require extreme focus from both teams. This game will go down to the fine margins, I think. There's so much ability, there's so much tactical understanding from both managers, from both teams. Both teams are on course to win a treble as well, by the way. So I can see this game going really down to the wire, down to those fine margins. Drop in your thoughts in the comments below on this big Champions League game. I honestly cannot wait for it. Who do you think will go through, and where do you think they can win the game? So can Inter Milan win the game in build-up and create fake counter-attacks, artificial counter-attacks, or will Barcelona dominate the game and find openings? I'm excited to see what you think in the comments below, and I'll try to reply to your thoughts as much as I can. But until next time, peace!